So who's got something for me? Who's got a problem we need to do?
Let's go with
Yes.
number
Can we do on the other view, number 6, question
6B. So on the other review, the non-focused review, we are doing, we're simplifying I to the 175th power. Who remembers, we did one of these yesterday, or some other day. Who remembers our strategy here? We gotta divide it by 4, and when we divide by 4, we are interested in that, the remainder. Because that means that after you group 175 of these, there's going to be 3 of them left. Right? Ungrouped. And I know 2 of them are going to make a -1. So my answer would be -1i or -i. Okay? All right, who else has something to ask about? That was your job before lunch, Joe.
4A on the chapter P review.
Okay, so the other review sheet, which one for?
4A.
4A.
With the square root, radius, square root 6.
So, writing the equation of a circle. The center is 4,1 and the radius is √6. We gotta know what the equation of a circle looks like.
Is it x minus 4?
X minus 4
X minus y squared
squared
plus y minus
y minus 1 squared equals 6. Because that number right there is r squared. And if r is √6, then √6 squared is just 6. Okay? So there's really no work to do on that one. You just have to know what the equation of a circle looks like. Alright, now I'm going to call on somebody if I don't get a volunteer. Come on, y'all were supposed to find something for me. 4B. Same thing, only this time I don't know as much. This time, all I know is that my diameter has endpoints here. So I am going to come up with an equation that looks like this. But what do I need to know? To write this, I need to know the center, which is going to be the midpoint, which is going to be the average x. So what's the average of 2 and 4? 3. And what's the average of -2 and 6? 2. How do we find an average? We add them and divide by 2. Right? Now I got my center, so in terms of my equation, x minus 3 squared, y minus 2 squared equals, now what do I need to know? The radius. Won't that be the radius? Or this, either one. So how am I going to find that?
y2 minus
The
or
distance
y plus.
formula.
Yeah.
So 3 minus 4 squared plus 2 minus 6 squared. And figure out what that is. I got 17. So the radius is the square root of 17. So what do I put here? 17. R squared, 17.
Oh, I just have no problem.
Okay.
All
Alright, you got this now? Okay, these are circles. Alright.
Can I ask you one about that's on our homework?
Yeah, you guys can.
It's the first one on P5.
P5, number 1. Well, this is exactly the same question, except backwards. Now I have my circle, and I have to find my center and my radius. So everyone agrees then if the equation works like this, center is easy and radius is easy, right? So we're gonna have to make that equation look like this. So what are we gonna do? Not really factor.
Combine, separate the,
We need to complete the square, guys.
separate the.
We need to make squares.
Yeah.
So we'll group our x's together. And we're gonna complete the square on these guys. And then we'll group our y's together. And we'll complete the square on them. And then, I don't really need that 6 anymore, so he's going to the other side. He's gonna be part of the radius over there. Alright, so what completes the square? 25, both sides. How about here? 1, both sides. Now, this green thing should be a thing squared. What is it? X minus 5. And the pink thing should be another thing squared. Y plus 1. And then all of that should add up to something. 20? 20, I think. So where's my center? Now it's easy. My center is 5, -1. And my radius, root 20, which is 2 radical 5.
How do we get 5 negative? Just
Go to your
the opposite of
Jake, stop. In this one, we knew the center was 4, 1, so what did
Oh,
our
you did
equation
the
look
opposite.
like? Yeah, same thing.
the.
All right, Ronan, is there a hand up over there?
Five, the chapter review
Yeah.
is one,
Yeah.
5A.
5A, so on the review we haven't done yet, problem 5A. Oh, wow, this is an easy one. You got this. I'm just gonna draw a number line. What am I gonna put right in the middle of that number line?
2.
A 2. And then I know I'm gonna have a dot over here and a dot over here, and I'm gonna get that dot by counting back and forth. 6. 2 plus 6. 2 minus 6. Now I gotta decide where I'm gonna shade. Learning, paying attention?
Yeah.
Greater than means I'm gonna shade out. So my answer is negative infinity to negative 4, or 8 to infinity. 8. Remember, that center number is not part of your answer. That center number is just where you start counting from, all right? Okay, who else? Yep. 3B. Write the equation along a tangent. This one's a little bit tricky, because you have to remember some geometry. Remember that? You took that class at one point. So we have a circle centered at the origin. Look at that equation. No numbers, right? So it's centered at the origin. And we have a point 1, 2. And we have to write the equation of the line. Tangent. So we're going to write the equation of that line as a tangent line. Okay? What does it take to write the equation of a line? What do you need to know? You need to know the slope and you need to know a point. Now we have the point. That part's easy. Who remembers anything?
Remember the tan in the calculator?
Okay, yeah, that would be the tangent of an angle. That isn't the tangent
Oh,
line.
yeah.
Yeah, same word, different meaning, yeah. Well, this right here is a radius. Would everybody agree with that? That's a radius? And a picture even looks like it, but the theorem from geometry says that a radius and a tangent are perpendicular. So if I could find the slope of my black line, then wouldn't I know the slope of my red line? Opposite reciprocal. So this is the origin. That's the point 1, 2. So what's the slope of my black line? 2 minus 0 over 1 minus 0, 2. So what is the slope of my red line? Negative 1/2. Because these two are perpendicular, and perpendicular slopes are opposite reciprocals. So here's my point. Here's my slope. 1 minus 2 equals negative 1/2 x minus 1. There's the equation of your line in point slope. Alright, that's a little tricky. That's why it's on the unfocused review. Focused review is where we really zero in on. This is extra practice. I might just put it on there just for you, because you're being annoying. We're supposed to know this stuff, we're not supposed to just worry about some test. We used to have a copy of somewhere. What happened? All right, who else has a question?
Oh, I have a question.
Oh, yeah, right there. There's your cup, Keller, that's for you. No, you wouldn't. All right,
The word problem on the review.
the Mr. Newell problem.
Yeah.
Was Mr. Newell gone when you guys came? Or was Mr. Newell still here? Do you know? He was already gone. All right, Mr. Newell bought a bicycle 5 years ago. It cost $237. So in the beginning, the bike cost $237. Now, 5 years later, the bike costs or is worth $92. Write a linear equation. It doesn't say y equals mx plus b, but it means the same thing with different letters, right? V equals mt plus b. That's a linear equation. So we're going to write a linear equation for this data. Write a line, which is what we just did. What do we need to know?
Slope.
All right, so 92 minus 237 over 5 minus 0. I got negative 29. Okay, now we'll pick a point. I'll use that one right there. Actually, guys, if I graph that point, wouldn't it be like right there? That's my y-intercept, isn't it? Isn't that my d? So I don't need to go through all this rigmarole. It's negative 29x plus 237 mx plus b. Now, if you did do it all out the long way, you get that. Now I want to know how many years ago was the value of the bike 150? So what am I going to do? I'm going to plug in 150. Where? Y. So I'll solve that. Oh my gosh, I got 3. Did you? Is that okay? So after 3 years, the bike was worth $150. Okay? Okay, who else?
Can we go over number 3 on P7?
P7, homework, number 3. And this is another projectile motion problem. So we have our general formula. And we're gonna plug in oh, actually, it's already done for us. So I don't even need to plug in. They gave me the equation. So the initial velocity must be 100, and the initial height is 37. So I got my equation. I don't need to figure it out. When is the object less than 83 feet high? Now, if you just think about it for a second, whether you graph it or not, it doesn't matter, but just think about what's happening. This wall is up on this building that's 37 feet tall, going up in the air and it's coming back down. At some point, this is 37, up here is 83. Here and here, we have exactly 83 feet above the ground. So let's figure out what those points are. So if I do it graphically, this is going to go in as y1. And y2 is going to be 83. Now, if you just hit graph right now, it is not going to look good. Because remember, you're going all the way up to 83. So y, go to window, and y max has to be something bigger than 83. So I'm going to make it 100. Now when I graph, I actually don't see the top of that, but it doesn't matter. I see this, right? That's what I need to see. So I need to find those 2 points. So second calc intersect. And I got one of them, 0.5. Wow, okay. And the other one is 5.75. That's awesome. Now, are you able to get those 2 points? Okay, so now we have to answer the question. When is the object less than 83 feet tall? That means when is it lower? So it would be that part of the parabola and this part of the parabola. So 0 to 0.5. And you can certainly put a bracket here because it's in, yeah. Does it say less than?
Yeah.
So that would be a parentheses. And then here is where we get into trouble. We are used to, on the number line for sure, when we do this piece and that piece, we have negative infinity and positive infinity. Well, we understand why we're starting at 0. That's the beginning. This is not going to be infinity though, because why? The ball stops, right? It does not keep going. So now we need to figure out what that point is. Please don't say 0. The y coordinate is 0, but I want the x. So I need to figure out when does it hit the ground. That's that x, when it hits the ground. So I can go back, use that equation, and find the 0. So second calc 0. Second calc. And remember, you're looking for about exactly 6.6.
Yeah.
So that's the end of this interval. And you can actually bracket that way because it's on the ground that way. So that's a little trickier. The other ones we've looked at, we've done the top half. And we haven't really had to worry about this. But remember, the problem ends when the ball hits the ground. Okay, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. All right, who else? P7. Number 2 is the box problem. So our paper is 20 by 22. Cutting our corners off. And we want a volume of at least 283. So this is going to be done very similar to this, except I need an equation. Don't use that equation. You need an equation for the volume. What is the volume of this box going to be?
22 minus 2x. 20 minus 2x times x.
Yep, that's it, every time. Every time that's going to be the volume of the box. So that might be Y1. And then Y2 would be 283. Now, some of you weren't careful when you did this in your homework. You didn't stop to think about what X could be. Alright? So I want you to think about what are your X's going to be? In terms of what do I want to look at on the graph? The biggest X could be is 10. That's the biggest. Because you only have 20 inches to play with, and you're cutting a chunk off both sides. So does it make sense to you that the most you could cut off would be 10? And the least you could cut off is nothing. So there's your X min and max. Now, Y is your volume. Your volume is a positive number. So we're not bigger than 0. I don't know how high this thing's gonna go, but I know I need it to go at least 283. So maybe, just for fun, I'll say 320, so I have a little extra room to play with. It doesn't matter. Just make sure it's above 283. Okay, now I'm ready to go. So 22 minus 2x. 20 minus 2x. 283. Now, this is what I see. I see it going up, I see it coming down, and then I see my 283 line right there. Isn't that okay? Because I'm interested in these 2 points. So I'll find those. Second calc intersect. I got 0.746. Some of us have some round off issues, so let's spend a moment to talk about that. This is what I got on the calculator. If I'm rounding to the 1,000, which I'm making up, let's say if I'm rounding to the 1,000, that would be right there, right? The rule is, if that number is 5 or more, we go up. So that's how I got 746. All Alright, second count. And my other point is 7.359.
Yeah.
So now I gotta read the question. What size will yield a volume of at least 283? What does at least mean? 283 or bigger? So I'm looking at all this. So bracket 0.746, 7.359. Okay? You goofballs that are just now doing your homework. I hope you know what you're doing. Because tomorrow I'm not gonna work the test for you, like I'm doing your homework for you right now. I know, I mean, unfair. You're gonna have to take it on your own, sorry. I've got time for one more, not from homework, one more, not from P7, one more problem. Hey, guys. Yep. Yep.
Can we go over number one?
No, I got different quizzes, tell me what the problem says.
Solve by completing the squared, 3x squared minus 6x.
Minus 6x,
Yeah. Minus 6 equals 0.
minus 6 equals 0. Okay, now certainly, is that a quadratic formula problem? Could I do the quadratic formula? Yes, if the direction said complete the square. So step one must be to divide out this. Whatever that is, that has to go. So x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals, or minus 2. All right, you okay with that? Now, remember the circle problem we did a minute ago? We had to complete the square on the x's and the y's. We're gonna do that exact thing. So I'm gonna move the 2 over, and I'm gonna figure out what number's gonna go here that's gonna make this a perfect square. So half of 2 squared is 1, not 2. Half of 2 is 1 and 1 squared is 1. So this is x minus 1 squared equal to 3. So x minus 1 equals plus or minus root 3. Remember, when you square root those sides, plus or minus. So x equals 1 plus or minus. Okay? All right, my friends, be ready tomorrow.
Top 4.